Hey, good evening. Doc here for the ReadySetCrypto OMNIA trade of the day for Wednesday, the 23rd of December, looking at BTC. Again, I got to say, guys, the price is doing precisely what it should be doing right now. It's consolidating underneath the current level of, we'll call this air quotes, resistance of a 24,000. This is the current level that it's doing. This is the same as like climbing Mount Everest. It gets up to a certain level of altitude and you have to acclimate at that altitude before you finally break above there and then get used to a new altitude. That's exactly what's happening right now. We can kind of measure how it's getting acclimated based on the energy. We want to see this build up to this level up here. This is the CHOP index that shows the linearity of the current trend. Right now, this is a non-linear price movement. The price is going up and down and up and down. It is absolutely non-linear, no trend to this way, and that's exactly what it needs to be doing right now. Okay, rather than go through all the list here and see what's going on, Ripple's really getting hammered here today. Whoa, I did not see this before. Yeah, bad news from the lawsuit. But instead of going through all of this and picking and choosing winners and losers and things like that, you know, Monero's doing just fine today. What I'd like to do instead is, I think this might be a good time right now, if there's going to be any altcoins, to get up and run kind of in the background, kind of surreptitiously start to rally before anybody notices. And remember, we've been dealing with this the last 3 years. Every time an altcoin dares to break out, it gets pounded back down again, just like whack-a-mole. So what I'm going to do here is go over to the crypto screener. We haven't done this for a while. And I'm going to search based on BTC. So this is presuming that something needs to be using BTC as the reference currency. And what I'm going to do is set up a filter. And the only filter I'm going to use on this is that I want to see, for these exchanges, I want to see the price above the 200-day moving average. That implies that there is a longer-term uptrend in place. So what we don't want to do is scan for stuff that's just poking its head up in the middle of a long-term downtrend. I want something to start actually trending higher, which is going to pull it above the 200-day moving average like this. So let's walk through a couple of these. We're not going to need to go through all of these, but just a couple of these to see whether or not this is something that we need to be aware of. Let's take a look at this one. This one is District 0x versus Bitcoin. I mean, this has been in a pretty bad downtrend for a while. Not too excited by that. Let's look at Temco versus BTC. And this is an example of something where it's like, this is a very illiquid, very low volume coin. And you can see a big 30% gain on something like this in a day like this, which fires off the screener, but this is a useless coin. This is an illiquid coin, not something I would trade. Here's one that's worth looking at, which is Zilliqa. We haven't looked at Zilliqa for a long time. So we'll look at this one here, and it's actually worthwhile of our interest. What is building here is a great big cup, and what should follow at this point is a handle. Some type of consolidation. You can see that the daily chart's now in exhaustion. So it would make sense for this to consolidate down at this level before breaking out again. So keep your eyes on this one. Let's make sure that we're adding this to, so I can just do a right click and then add this to a watch list. We've got Zilliqa versus BTC, and we're going to drag this one up so we can keep an eye on this one. Back to the screener. Let's see if anything else pops up that calls our attention. And the next one I'll look here is at Theta token versus Bitcoin. So this one's starting to get a little bit better. This is a very, very nonlinear pattern, but it's starting to trend to the upside. Keep your eyes on this one. This one might be worth watching in the near term. Let's see if anything else comes up to us. And a lot of these are just, you know, quite honestly, a lot of these are just crap. And the rest of these seem to be actually BTC on the numerator here. So these are more like Forex pairs versus Bitcoin. And we don't want that. We want Bitcoin to be in the denominator. So this is mostly what we care about here. So as you can see, nothing really is breaking out. I can go back out to my old watch list. We don't really have much that is breaking higher at this point. So nobody is really taking the baton at this point. There is no altcoin season which is kicked off just yet. So it's worth going through here on the screener from time to time and see if anything pokes its head up. If it does, if it starts to show a good pattern, then you can add it to your watch list, something to keep an eye on from day to day. All right, folks, that is it for today's report. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you tomorrow.